Here we go again. Good. Right. So it's all sorted. To stream manager, go to me here. Let's test. Okay, at least the text is appearing somewhere now. I guess I can't clear my own text messages. Wow, I've only messaged myself 12 times, right. Okay, so yeah, back to it. Deconstruct. That looks like a correct word, is that not? Yeah, I don't know, man. This stuff just doesn't work for me for some reason. Right, whatever. Moving swiftly on. So we are on raiding. Blah 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 blah. So currently we are looking at the ability to manually deconstruct players' base components. So one of the main things in Rust is like destroying people's beds and chests and breaking into things. I like the idea that you don't need to expend like ammo or further resources once you're inside their base. Like, I can still make it take an amount of time, but if you breach into a base, you should be able to sit and like manually deconstruct somebody's base defenses. So you don't want them to like immediately start breaking stuff down. So they have to like sit there and interact with it. And so there's like a risk of breaking somebody's bed and they respawn next to it and then they shoot you. Well, depends what they start with. Presumably nothing if you respawn in your own base. So maybe they can punch you out or they can quickly get a weapon or something. I don't know. But so yeah, I can't think of any problems with this system. So like we're under the assumption that if anyone gets into your base, regardless, they can start deconstructing all of your base components. So that includes teammates as well as hostiles. And it's like if you've let someone in your team into your base and you trust them and then they go and start ruining your base, well that's just kind of the nature of it, right? Whereas if you accidentally leave your doors open and let somebody go into your base, well then again that's like completely on you. There's if you let someone in, doesn't matter what they've got, they can just walk up and start breaking your base apart. Now I suppose so let's say about the need of tools. Ungeared players could destroy a player's base easily. So okay, so do we care about players that don't have anything being able to like get into your base and start tearing it apart? Because I were talking like let's say a 30 to 45-second interaction. So you get into somebody's base and you press a button and it starts deconstructing it so that not that base as a whole, but like the bed or a chest or a workbench or something. And it's like, so we could make it make noise. It could be don't know, it could require a tool. But like it doesn't consume it or anything. So like you need a hammer or something in your inventory. and then it's like completely free. You can just go into someone's base if you happen to find a hammer, and we could make it like a not a rare spawn, but like it only spawns in areas that are have hostiles in them, so you're not going to find it when you come into the game to start with. That's a possibility, and you can still access players' chests. So I guess the idea would be like if somebody's stupid enough to let you walk into their base, then they can just look through all of your stuff, open all of your chests and storage. And if you happen to have a hammer in there, they could take one out and start deconstructing your entire base apart. I think that is a reasonable solution, I would say. So, okay, so we could force the use of basic tools to prevent anyone destroying base. Just have to be careful. Players can still take the tools from your base if you have them. I mean, here's an interesting thing. So, like, I could see a situation where you get into another player's base through whatever means, like they've left their doors open or something, and then they could have C4 in their base. So you could just pick up the C4 from their chest and put it on their door and leave. And assuming that player's gone out gathering resources or something, they're not going to know they're being raided at all. And then suddenly their door's blown off, and any old person can come in. Obviously, they could replace the door, but yeah, it's whatever. It seems pretty reasonable to me anyway. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. All right, so we got a few more things to fill in. So I like, let's think about this. Raid, oh yeah, raid difficulty, right? So, this could be, so this is like limiting building size and quality based on the players that are in the group. Larger group of players will facilitate larger base sizes. Simple as that. So a solo player can't go and dominate the entire map, but equally we can limit the larger groups as well so that they also have like a max size base. I want to avoid the Rust scenario of people, and Ark in fact, of people just running around and griefing bases by like putting temporary things everywhere. So, actually that's something else. Let me just put that down. Bases will require a central flag. I think I want to say central building. Say central building node. That's all other building parts are connected to. So this will feed back into the other thing in a second, but so I think in DayZ you plant a flag. Rust, obviously, you have tool cupboards, but they don't function quite in this way. They do. They create like an arbitrary ring of control. Presumably, it's a sphere of connected parts. So if you can grief people by building close to them and putting a tool cupboard down, and it stops them from spawning, building out into that area. It's kind of the point. The idea here is that players can only make one base, and you can't. So that's interesting. So if you had a group, you've got 3 players in your squad. Each player, even if they're in a group together, could create their own separate bases, but they would all still be confined to the same restrictions that a single player's base would be. So you still couldn't put a base too close to somebody else's. So there's always a gap. So like I would design a system where if we go into the wonders of Excel, the powers that be. Right, so let's say, right, you're building here, and somebody else is building, well, here. We would have it so this spot is a no-go zone. So like, actually let's color coordinate it for now, right? So let's say, for example, you have 2 solo players. Let's just do that. Blue. Right, and then so this is kind of what I'm thinking. So however big these grids are, you put something down in the center of your base, and then this encapsulates an area, and this other person can't put their central point down, within this radius of you. And it means that no matter how many people you have, there's always going to be this channel of separation around the bases, right? Ah, God, my voice is just dying today. Don't know what we're drawing here, but yeah. So then players can't lock up areas, they can't trap people in bases, and because it's 1 base per player, then at max. Yeah, but then how do groups work? So let's now assume that there's a group. Right, so the same rules will apply, but now let's say for the sake of argument that this group can build up to here. So now they get a much larger radius of control. So they're actually building out to there, just up some arbitrary thing, right? Right, just it's obviously not going to be accurate, but that would do, right? So now you've got this base here. So this could be like a 4-player base, and they can encapsulate this entire area, but they still can't build past a certain limit. And so even within this area, they can only build up to, let's say you could have a base of this size, something like that. And so they claim this region, but they can't actually occupy the entire space. So then there's even more, so like maybe the solo player can, and they have this. Something like that. So I could actually, let's do, oh, it's easier to just do it like this. Right, so if let's do something straightforward here. So let's say a solo player is all around 2. Let's go green, orange, someone else. Oh, and I need to, there's 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. So this could be like blue for that size group, orange for that, green for that, and then yellow for that. Right, so yeah, so we could have, so this could be trio plus, duo, solo. And then like the buildable space. So it's not necessarily like a fixed space, but let's say how many, let's just see, oh no, hang on. So that this would be, so that's 25. One, can I, I have an idea. We'll just do some color shading things in a second. I mean, actually, I probably don't need to if I'm doing it like this. 2, and then this would be 3. 3. Just to visualize it better. Center. Maybe. Right. Just see. Okay, so here we go. So the full sum is 400 grid slots, right? So that's trios can build in 400 square radius, and then duos get 136, and it could be that I make it so one foundation piece is four of these grids, right? So you maybe you build a foundation piece here, and then another one there, and another one there, and there, and there, and then you can go up kind of as much as you like. Maybe maybe there's like 3 slots up or something. But we'll figure that out. But so this would equals count of cool. All right, that's a pretty good way of looking at it. And it might be that I reduce trios down by one layer, so it's not quite as exponential. Maybe even both of them. Maybe I do it like that. It goes 24, 22, and then 81, 136. But anyway, so this is like this is slots, and then it could be that the solo player occupies like this space, and then the duo could occupy this much, and then the trio could occupy this much. So that's like a total, 130. So, that could be an approach. The trio plus space could, if let's say, even that's the size of a room, that's a lot of rooms, a lot of possible doors, a lot of angles they can create. They could create a tunnel down here. Stuff to consider. Building scales. Let's call it that. Hopefully that goes online. Yeah. Cool. I think that's pretty reasonable at the moment. Get rid of lines. Ah, God, it looks so clean now. 3, 2, 1. Wonderful. I'm pretty happy with that. So back to this. Actually, I just need to disappear briefly. Okay. Right. So, God, mad wind outside today. Right. Uh, um, yeah, so it basically this approach should stop people from um yeah, being able to like camp other people's bases and like trash the map. Like when you see a base, that's that person's base essentially, you know. And maybe I have to do something limiting squads to only also having one base. No, I think that's a bit much at the moment. How do I make that work? Hmm. I'm trying to think of the scenario. So let's say, presumably somewhere I've got, wow, I haven't even put that as a thing yet. Okay, might as well come under here somewhere. So, uh, player groups. So what happens to player to existing player bases when someone joins a squad? Hmm. Do existing bases retain their build limits? I like to think. I guess maybe you could bypass that. Axis. Hang on. Hmm. I foresee an issue. So let's say, what happens if a player joins another, increases their build size, makes a larger base, then leaves the squad. So that's a possible problem. Hmm. Man, this is gonna get tricky. Because you could have a solo player temporarily join somebody's base. Now, I could make it so that, let's say, probably come under the building section. Okay, yeah, let's add some things in here real quick. I really want a template or something of this. Can I save text as templates? Let's just put some. I wonder if Sometimes I suppose it depends on the language, but I was hoping I could like insert text. Whatever, doesn't matter. Right. So limited size, async groups. So what we're thinking here is existing bases retain their scaled sizes / building limits, and then we want another one which would be players without a base. Oh, players. Okay, so let's go with squads. Squads can only have one base at a time. So the idea. So if I just how do I achieve this? So let's just think about this. So this would be solo player joins another. They form a squad. Existing bases for both players remain the same. Oh. Huh. Okay, so now we're in an interesting scenario. Two solos decide to team up and they have an existing base between them. Okay, fine, you've got two bases. But now you're in a squad and the building limits have changed. And that's... I could use a point system. Maybe. So I'm foreseeing a problem where you have state changes based on joining squads. And you don't want to screw over people with existing bases. So like one of the biggest gripes I have with Ark is if you join somebody else's tribe, your old base becomes loses permissions for you. So you literally couldn't. If you had two people with a base and they join, then whoever joins whoever else's tribe loses their permissions for their own base, which is a bit shitty. Now, what happens if you have a existing base and you want your friend to join you, but now because of this restriction, this the fact that existing bases retain their scaled sizes and building limits, if that's the case, then you can't have your friend join your squad and then benefit from the improved base sizes. And the only way to allow them to upgrade the base to be a larger size would be to perform a check in the perimeter to make sure that they're not encroaching on other players' bases still, which is possible. I just do a check, same check that it's going to do every time they, anyone puts a base down. I mean, that's a pretty simple check, I think. We're in the player buildings. Mm, So the building player placement calculations. Yeah, all currently placed central nodes. Check distance to each node. If the radius of control for that, so it'd be like, control for that node plus ours is greater than the distance can't base node. So this is like it'd be something like if distance less than control radius, distance less than node control radius plus something like that. I think that's pretty reasonable. Oh, and yeah, this is going to be tricky. Yeah, okay. Let me just check that that went through. That's weird. Sometimes when I save things in OneDrive, it doesn't actually save it in OneDrive. Supposedly it's there. Interesting. Let me move these things around. Wait, but it's not. Why is it? That's very irritating. It suggests it's here and it just isn't. I'm trying to find documents, but they seem to be... Hang on, let's be really specific about this. So I'm going to do save as, save a copy. So I have no idea why this doesn't get saved where I think it should. Just going to open all of the documents that I've been trying to that's that. If I now go in there, there they are. Building scales, good, right. Wait, can I change the... yeah, I need to learn to use that more. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with OneDrive stuff. I'll copy it out somewhere else another time. Oh man, so yeah, okay. I mean, maybe we just limit it by quantity. Quantity of bases makes more sense. Spread out more over the map, but yeah. Oh dear. I mean, I could always make the upkeep of bases increase the more you have, and then they naturally force you to limit the size and stuff of your bases. That's a possibility. Yeah, let's just put that in as a fort in here. So this would be more total bases as has the higher the keep bases. It's an interesting proposition. Yeah. This is tricky. um. Oh man, there's so much left on here. I don't think that's a thing anymore. Don't know why I've got sub points in this. In fact, I don't really need any of that anymore. It's all down here now. Ah, dear. Yeah, okay, so we're still in a awkward position with the base building stuff. Hmm. Hmm. What do I do? There's a lot of ways around this. Simplest solution is that players make bases and they can upgrade the bases, and then the bases tell the players whether they can be upgraded or not. So let's say players can upgrade uh, to next size up. Players can send a base. Players can extend the base's control zone by adding extensions onto the central node. This increases the size of the control zone at the cost of upkeep. Will still form the to make sure it doesn't. Why does that look wrong? To make sure it doesn't conflict with existing bases. This will have a max limit of 2 grades. Want to avoid players being restricted in building when joining or leaving a squad. Wanted to avoid choose limiting base sizes. We could simply make the upkeep more and the players need to get higher level components to extend craft base extensions. Seems pretty reasonable. What is blah blah blah. Yeah, that's a pretty good solution to this problem. Add it onto there. There's a missing to do. I'll just use my mouse color real quick. Settings. There we go. Blue's better. Yeah, good. Right. This is a really dicey subject to think about. Could all go horribly wrong. I think I quite like the upgrading solution. Players can still have their own bases, they can upgrade if there's space, and if there's not, they have the option to move. And if you join up with multiple people, you can have multiple bases, and it's just a matter of making sure you can keep up with the upkeep. Pardon me. Yeah. I feel like it'd be 33% more upkeep required to maintain a base each time. So let's say a solo player wouldn't have to play for more than once every 9 days. And then duos might have to play once every 6 days. And then trios plus might have to, manage the upkeep every 3 days. Something like that. I can work on numbers. I mean, it could be 4, 8, and 12. It could be 5, 10, 15. Yeah, something like that. And make it server editable as well. Yeah. I'm just gonna get a drink. Ba-ba-ba. Right, back we are. Oh dear. um. Yeah, there's a lot to consider here. Hmm. The only thing I could consider that would improve. So the only alternate scenario is you join somebody else's squad and it goes, oh, you've got too many buildings. And at that moment, it will be like one of your buildings has got to go. And then you essentially uh, decide which building has to go, assuming it's mutually exclusive. Um, Yeah. Or it could very simply increase the upkeep drastically, and then it forces the players to have to maintain too many bases. The thing I don't want to end up with is, so let's put that in here as well. Players leaving a squad. Ooh, and still retain their created buildings. Their bases. This is an interesting predicament. How the hell does this work? So let's say you're the original creator of the base, and you join up with some people, and then you leave the group, but you were the original creator of the base that the group's adopted, and now they don't have permission to be in your base anymore. Hmm, interesting. Is that fine? And do we actually care about that? Hmm. Hmm. So I could have some properties. One of the properties would be original creator. Another one would be owned squad. And another one could be original squad. And the idea with that, if a solo creates a base and all it has is original creator, if they join a squad, then the current squad gets populated. So all bases and part of the squads get updated as soon as you join one. Then, if a squad creates a base, rather than the original, then you get squad, original squad, and original creator. So in this instance, if a player leaves a squad and their base was never created as part of that squad, so it's created prior to it, they may retain their base. If they join a squad and then create a base, the base belongs to the squad. So if they leave, the base still retains, is still retained by that squad. And then if all squad members disband, then the squad base remains owned by the creator of it, or if that player is no longer on the server, it goes to the next highest sort of playtime player in the squad, so I could keep track of like when members join squads. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So if you're disbanding, you've got 3 people. They leave the squad, and you've had a base between you since the start. and it defaults to the original creator of the base node. Otherwise, it will default to the longest standing member in the squad at that point. So yeah, something like that. And you know, players can be dicks and grief bases from people in various ways, but like that's probably the hardest one to abuse potentially. I mean, I could see a scenario where you create a base, somebody joins you, they help you build up the base, and you kick them out of the squad. And then because you originally created that base, it's all yours. But I mean, that's kind of how it goes. I think that's fine. Yeah, so let's get that down. Player buildings. Stats. So there's like original creator, original squad, current squad. Can I do? It's going to be building rights. And disbanding. If only original creator exists, then vote them. If original creator is no longer active, then longest standing squad member. If originals and hang on, players leaving squad, if original squad is set, the base is still controlled by the squad. If squad is fully disbanded, then longest standing squad member gets the base. Okay, so need to create some hypothetical scenarios for this, but disbanded, is that not? Who knows? And the current squad is just let's go current owner. And it would be like current owner. We want to compare IDs, but this is the thing that's going to vary dynamically as the players come and go. people can also transfer ownership as well. Building rights. Oh, and players control. Building rights manually. Yeah. Something else to think about. A member. Oh, it's not a member. It's a member. Is that right? Squad is fully disbanded, then longest standing member gets the base. Somebody's got to have it. So, do I have a... I've got squads somewhere as a thing. They're groups. Squads. Stats. So, member name. Member join date time. Member duration. I love a good member. Member duration. Member rank. And it'll be like squad ranks. Name. Permissions. Simple as that. Just more to consider. I think I got a lot done there. I keep coming up with more and more stuff, but this is a very complicated concept, so... oh, that's not what I'm looking for. Man, I just keep adding more things, but it's fine. I think we've analyzed a lot of useful information. Lots of possible ideas, possible ways of doing things. So yeah, I think that'll do for now. That's just yeah, just a hell of a lot. Cool. Alright, well, cheers guys. I'm just gonna carry on at some point. Like I said, in a couple of weeks I'm gonna be off completely for nearly 3 weeks. So yeah, that's gonna be entertaining. I'm gonna have to spend a long time doing this. Maybe I'll try and find other things to do at the same time. Maybe even by then I would have finished most of these and can actually start working on it. So we'll see. But yeah, cheers. I'll see you guys around.